What's up, guys? The Lazy Goldmaker here with another video and another TSM video today. So I recently changed my approach to legendary posting a little bit, and to how what kind of profit I want from these items. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about something. In almost all of my settings, I use some percentage of a base price, usually about a 120%, so at least 20% profit, as the minimum price in my operation, whether it's based on crafting or DB market value or something else. I generally have something along those lines, but you don't have to set your profit, your minimum profit, or whatever you want, your pricing, your normal price, anything. You don't have to set that based on some relative value. You can set that as a specific gold number, and you might want to do that in certain cases. So I thought I'd just show you quickly like how you can do it, and then discuss a little bit about when might it make sense to use one over the other. So that's what we're going to look at today. So of course we'll have to jump into my main account. So the point, I've just made some new operations for legendaries, and I'll just show you the basic setup if my my setup can load here. So here we have one of the new operations. This is some of my old ones. We'll take a look at the simple one, or the typical one. So this is one of the ones that I covered in my video about like the only two operations you ever really need, which is definitely something to check out if you need something basic that will just get you started and post most stuff that you'll ever need to post. So this is my basic pricing setup with 120% crafting as the minimum price, 5 times crafting cost as the maximum, and 2 times crafting as the normal price. And this generally works really well for me. So this is the main one that I use. So this is going to scale up. So this is going to mean that I want more profit from a more expensive item. So if something is worth 100k, then I want a minimum of 20k profit from it. And that's where the issue comes in, because as items get more and more expensive, they're not going to take more and more time. They're just going to tie up more of your capital. But as you can see, I'm currently sitting on, well, according to TSM, I'm sitting on 13.4 million gold on this realm, which means my capital is not limiting me at all, pretty much. I just bought Carthite today. So like capital isn't really a limiting factor for me. And what's the next consequence of that fact? The next consequence of that fact is obviously the fact that when items get more expensive, I should, assuming that they spend the same or take the same amount of time to craft and sell, I should be willing to accept a lower relative profit margin for those, because they're still going to be the best gold per hour I can get. Because getting 10k profit on an item that's worth, say, 100,000 gold, or costs 100,000 gold to craft, that's going to be less than 120% crafting. So if I was using this operation, I wouldn't post it. But that's still going to be way better than selling some item that's worth 1,000 gold and has a 50% profit margin. Even if that's going to give me like 300 gold profit, that's nothing compared to 10k. And that's where this generic approach can break down a little bit. And that's what it has done, because I'm on a very high pop realm, and legendaries are very competitive. And a lot of the legendaries are selling for less than my minimum profit, which has been 15% there. So what was I gonna do? Well, I made some operations that do not have a minimum percentage profit, but a minimum hard-coded gold value. So this one, for instance, this is crafting plus 1,000 gold. And then we divide by 0.95. Why do we do that? That's going to increase the price a little bit and ensure that we get at least 1,000 gold after the auction house cut. The 5% auction house cut is taken out. And then we just have the normal price as 2 times that, and the maximum price as 5 times that. So some things to note here. The big con of using this approach is that you need to spend much more time maintaining it. You need to continuously change these numbers, or at least change the operation that you're applying to any one group, to ensure that your the hard-coded gold profit that you're currently looking for is relevant and correct and actually going to net you sales and going to net you enough profit that you're happy selling at that price. So that's the negatives, is that it's going to be a lot more time consuming to keep up, because you'll have to make a bunch of different operations here, and you will on a at least semi-regular basis have to check if you're getting sales and consider swapping out the operation. Whereas with this one, with the crafting 120 operation, you can just have that out, bam, slam that on every crafting group, and it'll always work. It'll always give you profit that's reasonable. So I definitely think that this is something that I've personally overlooked, using a hard-coded gold profit value. This is something that I've probably overlooked a lot, and it's especially important in competitive markets and competitive expensive markets, which is not that many markets. When I changed this, when I changed my operations for my rank 5 and 6 and 4 legendaries, there were a lot more legendaries that I was now posting, and posting for 10k profit. I'm really happy selling legendaries for 10k profit, to be honest. I have so much gold. It's still a volume market, and just getting 10, 15k instead of not posting, because 10 or 15k is not 20% of the crafting cost or 15% of the crafting cost, is a much better deal. I'd already invested a lot, so that's what I decided to do, and it so far it's been working out pretty well. So I'll definitely keep looking for markets where a similar approach could be relevant. You can do this in flipping markets if you want to. I'm not so sure it works that well there. You'd have to have a group of items that are very homogeneous in terms of price. So they're all very similar to each other, and you're going to have, roughly speaking, the same base price and the same profit margins on the price where you are buying. I think the main use case for something like this is going to be for crafted markets. So obviously legendaries are one big candidate. You might want to consider doing this on some of the chain dial gear. Particularly if you're selling using missives to sell some of the rarer ones, you might want to set your profit margin high if you can on those. And you can also consider just, if you're like me and you're doing prospecting for essences and you're ending up with a large stockpile of gems, you may want to increase your profit. So as long as you're making like a couple of hundred gold on the stuff that you're crafting with the dual crafting chain aisle mark, you're happy, because it's just helping you get rid of all the gems that would otherwise clog your inventory or just have to be vendored for a little bit less value. So that's something to consider. Overall, this is definitely something you should be aware of, and we'll go back and show you the operation once again, just to make sure that you see what's going on. For those, I didn't actually talk through it, so I should probably do that. So I use a parenthesis so we can just divide the entire thing. This is just crafting. Crafting is the crafting cost of an item. It only works for items that you know the recipe for. And TSM looks for recipes whenever you open a profession window. And then it's going to add 10,000 gold, and we're going to divide the entire thing by 0.95. And that's going to make sure that you get the cost of the crafting materials plus 10,000 gold after considering the auction house cut with this operation. And then my general tip for normal and maximum prices is to have them as just the minimum price multiplied by some number. That makes sure that you never get any of the annoying errors related to like, oh no, the min price is now higher than the normal price. We don't know what to do about this, because TSM is based on the assumption that the minimum price is lower than normal price is lower than maximum price. I like using just 2 times and 5 times. That's personal preference. It depends on the market. For some markets I have this as high as 10, 15 times, and this as high as 30 or 50 times the minimum price. It all depends on the market. But this is the general gist of it. And experimenting with this can probably get you more sales, but it is going to mean lower profit. But if the market can't sustain 20% profit, but it can sustain 10,000 profit on a 100k item, then that's what you have to do. Either craft it and sell it for 10k profit, or stay out of it. That's your choices. Personally, I'd lean towards crafting it, because 10k is still a lot of raw profit to get out of an item, and that's going to be something that you'll want to do a lot of, because if you can do that consistently, then just sell 20, 30, or 25 or items to get a token on EU now. A little bit less if you're looking for a token at NA servers, but that's really how you get there. So yeah, hopefully guys, this was a little bit enlightening and useful to you. Leave a like, leave a comment down below. It really helps me out. I really appreciate the support. Subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll see you on the next video. Goodbye guys. Boom.